This is a podcast about understanding counseling and how it works in everyday life. In this episode, we'll explore how people learn to stay quiet about certain things and how those patterns form gradually across different parts of life. Most people don't decide to stay quiet. It's not usually a deliberate choice. It's something that develops over time, often because it works in the moment. You notice early on what's welcomed and what isn't, which reactions move things along and which ones slow things down. You learn when speaking feels useful and when it feels unnecessary. Slowly, certain thoughts, feelings, or reactions are kept to yourself. This learning often happens in very ordinary settings, in families where some topics are glossed over, at work where raising concerns feels awkward or poorly timed, in relationships when it feels easier to let small things pass than to talk discomfort. Each time something is held back and nothing bad happens, the pattern strengthens. Staying quiet can feel like maturity. It can look like being easygoing, adaptable, or considerate. And often it is. The difficulty comes when silence becomes the default rather than the choice. Over time, people become skilled at filtering themselves. They edit before speaking. They minimize reactions. They downplay needs. This isn't about dishonesty, it's about efficiency. Things feel smoother when less is said. The cost of this filtering isn't immediate, it builds slowly. You might notice it as a growing sense of distance, or as tiredness that doesn't quite make sense, or as a vague irritation that appears without a clear cause. The connection between staying quiet and feeling drained is easy to miss because the pattern developed gradually. What's important here is that silence often moves experience inward rather than removing it. Thoughts that aren't spoken don't disappear, they continue to be processed internally. The work still happens, just out of view. This internal processing can become quite busy. Replaying moments, rewriting conversations, thinking through alternatives, trying to make sense of things alone. What started as staying quiet externally turns into increased mental activity. This is why people who rarely make a fuss often describe feeling mentally tired. The energy that isn't used in conversation is used in thinking instead. Counseling helps notice these patterns not by encouraging constant expression, but by making the process visible. When people see how and when they learn to stay quiet, they can then begin to understand what that silence has been doing for them. Often, the goal isn't to start saying everything out loud, it's to recognize when silence is protective and when it has simply become habitual. That recognition changes how internal experience is handled. Instead of everything being processed alone, some things can be named, reflected on, or shared more intentionally. In the next episode, we'll move from this into what often develops alongside long standing silence: overthinking, reassurance seeking, and the difficulty of waiting when things feel uncertain, particularly in close relationships.